ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ryan Samuel Show, where we cut through the noise and get straight to the truth about what's really going on in this crazy world. Today, we've got a few things to talk about this absolute circus that's unfolding in the New York City mayor's race. That's right. The Big Apple, the city that never sleeps, might just be sleepwalking into a nightmare if the polls hold up. Leading the pack is Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee who's surging ahead with a whopping 46% in recent surveys, leaving Andrew Cuomo and Sliwa in the dust. But hold on, before you think this is just another election, let's peel back the layers on this guy, Mamdani. Now, he isn't your run-of-the-mill politician. He's a far-left radical whose ideas and associations could spell disaster for the greatest city on earth. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. Mamdani's troubling stance on terrorism. This is a man who's been slammed for refusing to outright condemn Hamas, the terrorist group that's wreaked havoc in the Middle East. During the recent debate, he dodged questions about denouncing the phrase globalizing the intifada, which critics say is a call to spread violence worldwide. Back in 2017, he praised the so-called Holy Land Five. These are people convicted of funneling money to Hamas terrorists. And get this, his campaigns raking in cash from donors linked to terrorist sympathizers and anti-Israeli activists, amplified by taxpayer matching funds. Even Representative Elise Stefanik isn't mincing words, calling him a jihadist for his ongoing support of Hamas. In a city that's already dealt with the horrors of 9/11, electing someone who cozies up to these ideologies isn't just tone deaf, it's downright dangerous. It risks turning New York City into a haven for extremists, eroding the safety and unity we've fought so hard to rebuild. But wait, it gets worse. When you dive into his far-left playbook, Mamdani's not shy about his socialist dreams. He's openly talked about seizing the means of production as the ultimate goal, which experts say screams communism. His platform? A rent freeze that could cost billions and crater the housing market. Free buses and universal childcare paid for by jacking up taxes on the wealthy. And policies that echo defunding the police at a time when crime's already a headache. Critics warn this isn't just pie in the sky dreaming. It's a recipe for economic ruin, driving businesses out, ballooning the deficit, and leaving everyday New Yorkers footing the bill. Imagine a New York City where small businesses shudder because of a $30 minimum wage fantasy, where gangs run rampant without proper policing, and where progressive means prioritizing ideology over reality. Republicans are already sounding the alarm, saying Mamdani's extremism could torpedo the Democratic Party's image worldwide. This isn't about left or right. It's about sanity. Mamdani's blend of far-left economics and soft-on-terrorism vibes could transform the city into a chaotic experiment, blending Marxist policies with Islamic undertones that threaten the freedom and security of New Yorkers. You've got early voting starting soon. Don't let this radical remake your home into Venezuela 2.0 or worse. We've got more on this bombshell coming up, including what his opponents are firing back. Stay tuned. Remember, the truth hurts, but ignorance hurts more. This is Ryan Samuels, and we will be right back in 47 seconds.
Hey, Ryan. Hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan, Donald Trump Jr.
Harsh to NC. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast. My name is Ted Nugent, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuels Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Here is your host, Ryan Samuels.
Welcome back. See, it's not quick, and I love that intro. Thank you, all of those people that gave me an awesome shout out. But Mamdani, if you have not been following this, we've kind of touched on it a little bit on the show, but we have not really done an entire show on this clown, and that's exactly what it is. We're going to start by showing some clips of just him in the past talking about what his real motives are. And this is Mamdani on Meet the Press, and they ask him a very simple question. And the question is do you think that billionaires have the right to exist? Let's listen to his answer.
Of the neighborhood.
All right. You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
Well, let me ask.
He said no. A billionaire should not exist. What does that mean, though? How do you make billionaires go away? How do you make billionaires not exist? Do you kill them? How do you get their money from them? Do you steal it? Do you take it and give it to others as a self-declared socialist? Here is Mamdani on Fox News asking if Hamas should lay down their arms. Now, Hamas is the group that attacked Israel on October 7th of 2023 and murdered babies and raped their women and put children in ovens and just massacred and killed all of these people in a horrendous, horrible terrorist attack. It's a simple question. Let's listen to his answer.
Absolutely. But do you believe that Hamas should lay down their weapons and leave the leadership in Gaza?
I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we have to ensure that there is peace. And that is the future that we have to fight for.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, that applies to the Israeli military, applies to anyone you could ask me about.
How can you not say that Hamas, the terrorist organization who provoked and attacked Israel on October 7th, an ally of the United States, who the United States is supposed to support, right? Who the United States, who's supposed to align with, gets attacked by not only an enemy of Israel, but an enemy of the United States, and a lot of Islamic extremist groups similar to that of Al-Qaeda that attacked us on 9/11. How can you not say that they should lay down their arms? Yes, it's a simple response. Should Hamas lay down their arms? The answer is yes. And that see, if he was truly impartial, the response would have been, "Hey Pat, how are you? Welcome on, buddy. Good to have you here, man. You're a good man, sir." But by the simple response to that question, if you're truly impartial, is should Hamas lay down their arms? You should say, yes, Hamas should lay down their arms. Israel should lay down their arms, and let's come to an agreement. Let's seek peace. But no, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. Let's listen to it again. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. But that's not what he said. And it's interesting, and you can kind of tell by the smirk on his face.
Absolutely. But do you believe that Hamas should lay down their weapons and leave the leadership in Gaza?
I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we have to ensure that there is peace. And that is the future that we have to fight for.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, that applies to the Israeli military, applies to anyone you could ask me about.
Okay, absolutely. But
Hamas is a terrorist group. Yes, they should lay down their arms. Period. I think they should lay down their arms and then be sentenced to death by firing squad immediately by the IDF. That's what I think. These people would murder all of us if they had the opportunity. They would come into our towns and kill our people with no problem. But he can't answer that question. And he can't answer that question because he's sympathetic to Hamas's cause. He is a Muslim, and it appears that he's sympathetic to the Muslim call of war, to the Muslim call of killing Jews and Christians across the world. Here he is on ABC News. Let's listen to this.
You call yourself a democratic socialist. The word socialist, of course, has been vilified and used to attack you specifically. How do you...
This is ABC. The word socialist has been vilified. Yeah, it's been, you know who vilified the word? Socialists did. Because at a certain point, you run out of other people's money. And there's socialism doesn't work. It's been tried. And what happens is when you start running out of money, you start having starving people. So what do these socialists do? Like these Maos or Stalins or these communists, socialists, when people start starving and running out of food and there's not enough money to go around, they start killing people. It's like, well, if we execute 1 million people, then we'll have more food. Because under socialism, everybody starves.
How do you define being a democratic socialist?
I think of the words of Dr. King, who decades ago said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country.
But he doesn't believe in God. Just to be clear, Islam is not the God of Abraham. It's not. So I don't know what he means there. But just look at the evil right here. Look at it. Look at his eyes.
Gets to the heart of the matter, which is inequality, and my belief that every New Yorker should have what they need to live a dignified life. It shouldn't be something that they can be priced out of. And that's why at the heart of our campaign is this focus on freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants, making the slowest buses in the country fast and free.
There are in the country about 1,200, people who are just wealthy beyond anything, right? Mm-hmm. And 25 years ago, there were only about 40 of them. Now there are 1,200 people who are worth more than $1 billion. And
that sounds like a good thing. How are we making that a bad thing? There was only 12 people who were very rich. Now there's 1,200. So 1,000 times more people is a bad thing. 1,000 times more people have achieved the status of billionaire. How many more have achieved the status of millionaire? How many more have achieved the status of just wealthy? How many more have achieved the status of comfortability? How many more have achieved the status of middle class? How many more have achieved the status of growing out of poverty? How many more? That sounds like we're having a very good track record of people who are moving up the social economic ladder. Yes, Pat, I also believe that New York is doomed because it does appear that he's going to win.
Much more than that. That has to be addressed at some point because they're not paying the taxes that the rest of us are paying.
Absolutely, and I think it gets to the heart of the matter.
They're paying more taxes than the rest of us are paying.
Which is that there is enough money for a life of dignity for all people. It's just a question of whether we have the political will to ensure that that money is being spent on delivering that dignity.
Let's
If you were to seize the assets of all the richest people in the world and then redistribute it, everybody would just be poor. Mamdani is not just a leftist. He's a radical. Like, he's not your normal run-of-the-mill Democrat. And this is a problem for New York. I'm from New York. I'm a New York native. My whole family's from Brooklyn, Bay Ridge, Park Slope. I was born and raised and grew up on Long Island. And I got the hell out of there because it was crazy. But this is absolutely insane. Let's listen to him. I don't think he knows he's being recorded in this clip. Or he might. He probably does. But here he is speaking to a crowd.
Our emphatic June victory over Andrew Cuomo, a man who we will have to and will defeat again. That victory was evidence of many things. Chief among them, that you should say my last name correctly.
I still think it was the hex.
It's a combo deal. But truly, among them, it was a lesson that so many in this city are horrified by the genocide being perpetrated by the Israeli military in Gaza.
The Jews, blame the Jews. Of course. Blame the Jews. It's a genocide. It's not a genocide. It's not even close.
By the violence being inflicted using weapons paid for by our tax dollars as Americans.
What? So now is he going to go on and say the violence by Hamas being inflicted on our allies by the weapons provided by our enemies? Is he going to say that?
And the suffering that we see on a daily basis. Over the past 23 months, Save the Children tells us an average of one Palestinian child has been killed every single hour by the Israeli military.
It's been 2 years. That would be a lot of Palestinian children. Hey, Laura, welcome on. Thank you so much. It blows my mind so many people don't see right through this guy's BS. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's not just him. It's AOC. It's Bernie Sanders. People vote for their party no matter what. That's kind of one of the problems in our country. They vote for their party no matter who it is. Everybody picks their side in favor of the many or the few, whether Democrat or Republican, and they stick with that side. And as their side's philosophy gets more and more extreme, what they do is they kind of disassociate with that, but they still vote blue. I mean, I kind of do the same thing. Like, I go to a ticket and I vote red, like, whoosh, whoosh. And a lot of times the judges or the people I'm voting for, I don't really know, but I'll vote for them because they're a Republican. I hate when I get to that line, because as I get to, the president and the higher political offices, as I go down, I'm like, I don't know that guy. And then I take out my phone and I start doing a little research of whether or not I'm going to vote for that person. But that's why it's important to know who you're voting for. And it's hard with a two-party system because you're not getting everything that you want with a two-party system. Not that you would get it anyway. But this guy is just total anti-Jew, total pro-Palestinian, and that's a problem, man. Is the IDF in Israel perfect? No. But I do not put any stake in Hamas or the Palestinian government, even in the West Bank, like at all. I've been studying it and doing this way too long. The Palestinians lie. They lie about the deaths of children when they don't have enough children dying by collateral damage. They will put them in places and then hold their headquarters underneath those places, like a hospital. Like Hamas has built tunnels underneath hospitals so that Israel can't bomb it because it's underneath the hospital. And then when Israel does bomb it, they come out and say that they bombed the hospital. We'll stop using injured people as human shields. You know, you can't do that, but you do it anyway. And let's hear what else he has to say here.
And we know, because the United Nations tells us that by...
First of all, the United Nations it's kind of like your frickin' local PTA. Like, they're useless, okay? They have no frickin' standing whatsoever. They're full and they're controlled by anti-Israel, pro-Hamas people at the United Nations. It's a freaking joke.
At the end of the month, millions will be facing starvation if they are not starving already. This is not accidental. This is not due to a freak blight. This is not because the world now lacks the means by which to feed the hungry. It is because those decisions made by the Israeli government and by our government here continue to ensure that that is a reality. And if
our government here, the United States of America, is intentionally starving Palestinian children. That's what Mamdani's saying. That's what he's saying. That we, the United States of America, are trying to kill little children in Gaza by not giving them food. Even though millions and millions of cans of food and crates and pallets and tons have been dropped in, only to be seized by the terrorists and withheld from the citizens of Gaza.
that does not stagger the conscience, what will? And I am thankful to be here amongst so many for whom this has been a call to action.
Just so we're aware, he's running for New York City mayor. They just had their debate yesterday. I have clips from the debate. This speech is not from 2 years ago. It's not from 3 years ago or 4 years ago. This is from 30 days ago, 37 days ago. So he's not hiding who he is. He's not hiding what he stands for. He is literally degrading the United States, making false accusations that we're trying to kill innocent children in the Middle East a month ago. And he's about to be the mayor. It is highly probable that he will be the mayor of New York City. It is almost unconscionable that he won't be. It's almost that if you think that he won't be, I don't know what to tell you, because it really looks like he's going to be.
A call to demonstrate our values and an opportunity for us to showcase that the meaning of those values must come from the application of them to everyone. At a moment of alienation and isolation, the work that Jay Fredge does is grounded in a desire to build a better world holistically through conversation, nonviolence, and a tireless effort to find common ground. And I know that this has often been a lonely struggle, but I am so proud to be in it with each and every one of you.
30 days ago, 37 days ago. He's got nothing to hide. He's proud of who he is and what he stands for. He is. And I think New York is just a lost cause. I think New York City is a lost cause. I think it's eating itself. It's driving out the little man. He wants a $30 minimum wage. How are you supposed to get a $30 minimum wage? if you own a pizza place, you own a mom and pop pizza place, and you're supposed to pay people $30 an hour, how much do you think a slice of pizza is going to cost? Like, all of these small businesses are going to be forced out of business. They're going to have to close their doors, and guess who's going to move in? The big billionaire corporations. That's what happens when you raise the minimum wage. The big, do you ever go anywhere? Do you ever go shopping like at Lowe's or Home Depot or even McDonald's? What is everywhere now? Self-checkout. Because they can't afford to hire the people. Because the minimum wage in everywhere is going way up. It's going way up. Is going way up. So the low-level cashier, the person who just pushes a button or counts your money, they are now just unemployed. Where did they go? Where did they go to work? You know, if you're a high school kid or a person right out of high school who's still staying at home trying to find themselves, college kid, cashier jobs, they're all disappearing. And did the cost of your goods go down at these places? Is a hamburger cheaper when you walk into McDonald's and you do it on the screen and then the people in the back just bring it to you? No, it's not. They just became creative on how to get rid of the payroll and save the money on the payroll. But these democratic socialists, I'm a democratic socialist. That's like putting sprinkles on dog crap and calling it ice cream. It's still dog crap. Here is Mamdani being asked about prisons. Now, this is not some lunatic who's, that I deal with on this show, the trolls in the comments and the little TikTok fairies. This is somebody who's actually running for the biggest city in the world to be the leader of it. Let's listen.
Thank you. Are prisons obsolete?
Whew. Coming through with the quotes, coming through with the titles of the books. I have to read that, actually. I haven't read that as yet. But I think that, frankly, what purpose do they serve?
Right.
What purpose does a prison serve?
Right. I think we have to ask ourselves that, which is that, I think a lot of people who defend the carceral state, they defend the idea of it and the way it makes them feel.
Thank you.
What purpose does a prison serve? Well, it takes the bad people in our society who hurt other people, and it removes them from that society to keep the people around them safe. So what do you think's going to happen? Are you going to get rid of prisons? Like, that's how radical this guy is. I'm not taking this stuff out of context. You're watching it or listening to it. We're talking about it. We're hearing him say it. What purpose does the prison serve? Now, you could make the argument, and I've made the argument, and I'll continue to make this argument, that I don't think that prisons do a good job. They call them rehabilitation centers, but they're not rehabilitation centers. They're punishment centers. The people that go there are being punished for their crimes. They're not being rehabilitated and turned back out to be a productive member of society, which is what a prison really should be. If they commit a crime that allows them to come back out, they should be, quote unquote, rehabilitated or given a skill set where they don't go back to their old ways. There should be some sort of program like that in prisons. Yeah, we could criticize that all we want. I criticize that. I don't think that any sane person thinks the prison system is okay in the United States. That's why the recidivism rate is through the roof, especially for people who spend 30 years in there and then they get institutionalized and then they get out and they don't want to be here. They want to go back to prison. That's a real thing. It actually happens. That does happen. But to be fair, he's just asking the question, well, what purpose do they serve? Well, like I said, they remove bad people from our society and lock them away from the good people in our society. Now, what prisons lack is that rehabilitation factor. You know, the guards, there's like one guard to 50 friggin' inmates who are killing each other, and then they have their own set of rules. And, you know, male-on-male rape is a common thing in prison. Gangs, you're stuck with your skin color. You know, they're like, it's a violent, bad, really bad place to be. But that's also an incentive not to commit crimes, right? Not to commit horrible, violent acts against other human beings. But yeah, I mean, they do serve a purpose. So this radical is now going there. It's like, I'm not exaggerating. He is probably with like a 95% likelihood going to be the next mayor of New York City. Now, Andrew Cuomo has stepped up to try to run against him, and so has Curtis Sliwa. We're going to talk about Curtis Sliwa in a little bit. I love Curtis a lot. But here is Mamdani on The View talking about the one and only Donald Trump.
Okay, let's talk about President Trump, because he had a lot to say about you.
Dear friend of mine.
Let's quickly tick through all the things that Trump said about you, and let's get that out of the way. All right, number one, he's attacking you as a communist. Are you?
No, I'm a democratic socialist.
Yes, you're a communist. That's what a communist is.
No, I'm a democratic socialist. That means I believe in dignity for all people.
It means more than that.
Yeah, I think...
You're not a communist. I agree with that.
No, I'm not a communist. And I think, a lot of New Yorkers have asked me, what does it mean that you're a democratic socialist?
Yeah.
And I tell them to think about the words of Dr. King from decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There has to be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And that's the heart of
it. Okay, let's...
Collectively, the women at this table are worth tens of millions of dollars. Should we take their wealth away and give it to the poor? Like, Whoopi Goldberg's like, what, worth $100 million? Easily worth $100 million? I would say so. But they had a debate. Cuomo, Sliwa, and Mamdani. And we're going to watch some clips of it, because I don't like Andrew Cuomo, like, at all. Curtis Sliwa, I don't think is going to get elected. Now, Curtis Sliwa, if you don't know who he is, he's the guy that has the red beret, right? He wears a red beret. And he started when crime was super bad in like the 80s. And what he did was he started an organization called the Guardian Angels. Now, what the Guardian Angels did was protect people on the subway. Here, I'm just going to pull up this news article so you can see some pictures. Because the police weren't really getting the job done. Here's a couple of them here. They would protect people on the subway that were getting robbed. They wore red berets, red jackets. Curtis Sliwa started the program. These were all volunteers. They really did keep the city safe. People really did like it. New Yorkers liked it, and they helped clean up the subway. So he became super famous for that. He became...
What I remember about 1981 was it was epitomized by the film with...
This is Curtis Sliwa.
Kurt Russell, Escape from New York. Because if you had the wherewithal, you were getting the hell out of here as quick as you can.
What happens to a dreams deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or does it explode?
Us didn't fit into our families, didn't fit into schools, didn't fit into our towns, and we just had to go. Most of the jobs that people like...
trying to fast forward here.
Cops.
But this is basically what he did. He started this organization, and he became super famous. He was actually shot in a taxi cab. Curtis Sliwa, because he started going after the mob. He went after the John Gotti Jr., the Gotti family, the Gambinos. But some people debate that. But he's not a politician. He did not really perform well in this debate. And he's a really good guy. He's done great things for New York City. And I love him to death for what he did in the 80s and the 90s. What he did in the 90s is what made it okay for me and my family to start going to the city again, because we would never go into the city. Like, Times Square was a disaster. Like, Times Square now is gorgeous, beautiful, and it's safe for the most part. But back then in the 80s and the 90s, man, it was drugs, hookers. I went as a kid and there was cardboard boxes with homeless people just lined up all of New York City. And crime was completely, horribly out of control. And Curtis Sliwa is the person who cleaned it up, or at least there's a huge part in cleaning it up. Let's watch this clip of him in the debate.
Yeah, you think you're the toughest guy alive. But let me tell you something. You lost your own primary, right? You were rejected by your Democrats.
Why
and
didn't
you
you
have a
send the
difficult
National Guard?
understanding that what the term no is. You're not going to stand up to Donald Trump.
I agree with Curtis.
You're not going to stand.
Yeah, you.
That's one of the clips when they're talking about. I played the wrong clip. I apologize. But the clip was, would you? I have it here somewhere. We're going to get to it. They all don't like each other. And here's the problem. The mission needs to be to defeat Mamdani and get him out of the race. Curtis Sliwa is throwing his name in the ring, his hat in the ring, to see if he can to do that. But he's not going to be able to do that. Curtis Sliwa's political philosophy is Republican. It's not even far right. He's a normal, just dude, Republican guy who believes in law and order, and that's not going to fly in today's New York City. That's not going to happen. The best bet would be Cuomo. And the mission should be, I would help Cuomo to get elected for New York City. I will endorse Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, I endorse you for mayor of New York City. Because it's that important, and he's a Democrat. So, yeah, I endorse him. I have thousands, tens of thousands of listeners, hundreds of thousands of people in New York City. I just have tens of thousands of downloads in New York City. That means I have probably 300,000-400,000 listeners in Manhattan alone. You guys need to get your act together, and you need to vote for Cuomo. And you need to do everything in your power to not let Mamdani get in there. It all sounds good, roses, and he's selling you a friggin' rainbow, but it's going to get worse and worse and worse. This is a nightmare for you as New York, as a New Yorker. So I love Curtis, man. I appreciate what you're doing, but he's going to take votes away. If he stays in and he's on the ballot, the votes that need to go to Cuomo, because Cuomo's the one with the real shot of actually winning, he's going to take away from that, which is kind of what we saw back with Bush versus Clinton. So let's listen to this. They're asked who the best political leaders are.
Or before Sally starts to ask you about schools, a show of hands, who supports Kathy Hochul for re-election?
It's a decision that should be made after this general election.
So
that's Mamdani. Now, Kathy Hochul endorsed Mamdani for mayor of New York City. He refused to endorse her for governor. That's before this debate. And now he's saying the endorsement should come after this election. Why? Are you afraid it's going to hurt your chances of winning?
Or before Sally starts to ask you about schools, a show of hands, who supports Kathy Hochul for re-election?
And just so I might add, this little sign language person here is a real person. This isn't added by me. This sign language person was put there for the entire debate on I think it's NBC New York or whatever. This is New York and how ridiculous they are. Oh, make sure there's a sign language person on the screen. God forbid the deaf can't read captions. Sign language interpreters are for when they're in person and they're giving a speech. The sign language interpreter is not standing there. They're in front of a green wall and it's a box. She's not on the stage interpreting. That's just idiots. It's let's be inclusive. But what about the deaf people? Oh my God. Oh my God. Throw somebody out there and make sure the interpreter's not white. Idiots. Just put the closed captions on. But he wouldn't endorse Kathy Hochul. He still won't endorse her.
It's a decision that should be made after this general election.
So no decision. Mr. Cuomo, you handpicked her as your lieutenant governor. No thought.
You have to know who's running.
Yeah. Okay. So.
And I would add that I do think that Kathy Hochul, our governor, has been doing a good job in not only serving and delivering, not only delivering for New Yorkers, but also standing up to Donald Trump.
Do you support her for re-election?
Then endorse her.
I'm focusing on November.
Why don't you endorse her?
And I appreciate her support and I appreciate her work.
But you don't endorse her.
How about a shout out for Lee Stefanik to take out Kathy Hochul? So you have a Republican Mayor Curtis, a Republican Governor Stefanik, like Giuliani.
You want to talk about schools?
Save this city.
You want to talk about schools, Sally?
It's not going to happen, Curtis. I would love for it to happen, but it's not going to happen. I would be shocked to my core to see that happen. Elise Stefanik, maybe, as mayor of New York. Maybe. New York is very Republican. Long Island, extremely Republican. Upstate New York, from Woodstock to Buffalo, is all conservatives. All conservatives. That's country, man. That's That's Catskill Mountains, Bear Mountain area. That's God's country. It's New York City. That's got 7 million people that are swaying the entire state. That's what happens with these big cities. Northern California, same thing. Los Angeles, not so much. But that's where all the votes and all the political philosophy comes from. Here is Andrew Cuomo asked to make a hypothetical pitch to a CEO who would leave New York City. Let's watch this.
Her company with 1,000 good jobs tells you she's very close to moving her headquarters out of New York City. She cites everything from taxes to the crushing cost of living for her employees in New York City. How do you convince that CEO to stay? Please look into the camera and make your elevator pitch. You have 30 seconds.
We know that the other companies in New York City. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Andrew. Curtis, I love you, dude. I love you. I want to hang out with you. I don't drink alcohol, but if I did, I would love to have a beer with you. They asked Cuomo a question. Curtis Sliwa answered it as if they were asking it for him.
Her company with 1,000 good jobs.
Curtis. So here's a debate question. Here's one where they're asking about parades. Let's listen to this.
Okay, gentlemen, New York City loves its parades, and the mayor is often front and center. You have all said that you want to be mayor for all New Yorkers. So will you march in all the parades that mayors have traditionally marched in, or are there any that you would boycott? Mr. Sliwa?
I think a mayor has a responsibility, whenever possible, to march in parades, to celebrate whatever that parade is performing as. I've been a Grand Marshal of the Pulaski Day Parade. I was proud to celebrate my Polish heritage.
Are there any that you would boycott, though? I just need to move this along.
Excuse me?
Would you boycott any of the city's parades?
No, I would not boycott any parades.
Mr.
It's the mayor's
Cuomo,
responsibility to be available to all racial, ethnic, and religious groups.
No, I wouldn't unless they discriminated.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
There are many parades that I would not be attending because I'd be focusing on the work of leading this city.
Which parades?
A number of them. I've already missed a number of those parades because I've been trying to speak to as many New Yorkers as possible.
There you go, Curtis. That's what I'm talking about, bro. You know which ones he won't go to? Israeli support parades. He won't go to those. He won't go to any parade that doesn't fit his political philosophy because he's filled with hate.
Okay.
I don't have the list of all the parades I've missed.
Wow, that's a lot. The mayor should be going to all parades.
Let me ask you this. Are there any parades that don't exist that you think should? Mr. Mamdani?
I haven't thought much about parades, to be honest with you.
Mr. Cuomo?
I have not thought. I don't even know what parade doesn't exist, frankly.
Could be for anything. Mr. Sliwa?
Every parade has the right to exist in New York City. I would ask
David?
you,
Thank you.
Mr. Mamdani, would you protect the Christopher Columbus statues that exist here in the city?
I'm telling you, my focus is on affordability. I'm not thinking about
Well, you're not
statues.
answering the
All
question.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're not answering the
He
question.
gave the finger to the Columbus Day statue.
That issue's come up.
That's what we
earlier
call
in
a
the debate. All right, candidate,
disgraziado.
listen, we're in the last couple of minutes, and we
You
thought
know what
we'd
that
have
means?
some questions.
I love that. They're talking in disgraziato. They're Italian. Curtis Sliwa and Cuomo are Italian. New York is huge Italian. Huge Italian. And that's not going to go over well. Here is like one of the highlights, I guess. I've seen this clip a ton of times. Here is one of the highlights of the night where Cuomo is talking about basically just how inexperienced Mamdani is.
He literally has never had a job. On his resume, it says he interned for his mother. This is not a job for a first-timer. Any day, you could have a hurricane, you have, God forbid, a 9/11, a health pandemic. If you don't know what you're doing,
Cuomo.
people could die.
Mr. Mamdani, want to respond?
And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? That's the kind of experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
He literally has never.
He kind of got smoked on that, even though that's just the whole COVID thing is ridiculous. Here's Mamdani again on Fox News talking about the wealthy.
Like Margaret Thatcher said, you know, socialism's great until you run out of everyone else's money, other people's money.
Well, what Andrew Cuomo said is that if he had $959 million, he'd give it to Elon Musk in tax credits, because that's exactly what he did. And I bring that up to you to say that it's often a question of whether you have the willingness to spend that money to benefit working class people.
First of all, Mamdani wears a half Windsor knot. That's an amateur knot. I automatically, if somebody comes to me for a job interview with a half Windsor knot, I'm out.
People. Andrew Cuomo is going to say a lot of things tomorrow night on the debate stage. And frankly, I wish it was more like NASCAR, so New Yorkers could see the billionaires that were sponsoring him right on his suit jacket. Because this is a man who had 10 years. And I know now that it's politically convenient, he watches Fox News as well. So I'll just speak to him directly. Andrew, you had your chance to lead this state. You took that time to sell out working class New Yorkers to your billionaire donors. And instead of actually meeting the needs of people who couldn't afford to live in the city, you gave $959 million in tax breaks to Elon Musk. And now you want us to believe that we can't spend less money than that to make every bus fast and free in the same city.
All right. Like Margaret Thatcher.
Fast and free. Every bus fast and free. Yeah, don't pay. Who pays for the buses? Where does the money come from? Here is a Hispanic reporter asking questions.
In the theme of leadership, Mr. Mamdani, you work as a foreclosure prevention counselor for winning seat in the state assembly. You have no substantial management experience. How are you ready to lead the nation's largest and greatest city in the world in one day? You have a minute.
You know, I have the experience of having served in the New York State Assembly for 5 years and watching a broken political system, the experience of seeing a governor in Andrew Cuomo who would rather have served his billionaire donors and the working class New Yorkers who voted for him, and the experience amidst all of that of fighting and winning for working class taxi drivers to free them from predatory debt, and delivering the first free bus lines in New York City history, and in working with unions and working class New Yorkers to finally raise taxes just that little bit on Mr. Cuomo's donors to start to fully fund our public school. And more than that, I have the experience of being a New Yorker.
New York spends more money on schools than like any other place in the world, and their school system still sucks.
Someone who has actually paid rent in the city before I ran for mayor. Someone who has had to wait for a bus that never came. Someone who actually buys his groceries in this same city. And what all of that experience has shown me, which Mr. Cuomo can't seem to understand, is that it is far too expensive and far too hard for New Yorkers to afford to live in this city. And the definition of experience is not doing the same thing again and again and hoping for a different result. That's actually the definition of insanity.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
If I can, I think I was invoked.
Yes.
In other words, what the Assemblyman said is he has no experience. And this is not a job for someone who has no management experience to run 300,000 people, no financial experience to run $115 billion budget. He literally has never had a job. On his resume, it says he...
This is the clip we watched earlier, this piece.
People could die.
Mr. Mamdani, it's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
May I? First, what you said was totally false, as you know.
Which part was false?
During COVID, everyone did whatever they could in this state.
Full Windsor. It's important. He's got a full Windsor tie.
And there have been numerous investigations where they've gone through it, and they said we followed federal guidance. But yes, people died during COVID, and my heart breaks for everyone that died in this state and across this nation.
But just to be clear, just to fact check that, there is a criminal investigation reportedly underway at the DOJ about your testimony to Congress about your nursing home record.
Yeah, but that is a political issue with the Congress. They made a referral, which has gone absolutely nowhere. But there have been multiple investigations where the DOJ found that the nursing home investigation was politically motivated.
Okay, we're going to move on. We might have time to come back to it. I do.
Political moderators have no business fact-checking. Not live. Because the political commentators are going to do that after the fact. It shows, when you fact-check live like that, it shows bias. And they should not be fact-checking live. I don't think it's a good practice. They should be impartial and just stay stupid. Okay, ask questions. Because you have a list of questions to ask. And you just ask the questions, and then you moderate, and then it's like, oh, yep, he said something about me, so now I can respond to that. Right, okay, yep, he invoked you, you can respond. That's it. I don't care if like their fact-check is true or it's not true. The moderators, after the fact, the political analysts, the people like me or the Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, they're going to tear it apart. You don't need to do that live. So here is Mamdani talking about, this is the I think he's talking about, yeah, this is Israel and Gaza.
Of course, I believe that they should lay down their arms. I'm proud to be one of the first elected officials in the state who called for a ceasefire. And calling for a ceasefire means seizing fire. That means all parties have to cease fire and put down their weapons. And the reason that we call for that is not only for the end of the genocide, but also an unimpeded access of humanitarian aid. I, like many New Yorkers, am hopeful that this ceasefire will hold. I'm hopeful that it is durable. I'm hopeful that it is just.
The President of the United States should have been applauded by you, Zohran Mamdani, and you, Andrew Cuomo, on the day that he brought together that international coalition that met in Egypt, that came from the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. I certainly applauded him for bringing peace to Gaza and trying to end the hostilities in the war between the Israelis and Hamas, so there can be peace between the Israelis and peace between the Palestinians. But you seem, Zohran, to be incapable of praising our president. And Andrew, you were incapable of praising our president. Give credit where credit is due. He's brought peace to Gaza.
I did applaud President Trump and his administration. I think it was a great accomplishment. I hope the peace holds. The Assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The Assemblyman will not denounce Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. The Assemblyman just said in his response, well, it depends on occupation. That is code, meaning that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state, which he has never acknowledged. That is from the river to the sea. That's why he won't denounce globalize the Intifada, which means kill all Jews.
Let's give Mr.
Cuomo's right here. And just like Sliwa said, you got to give credit where credit's due. I don't really particularly like or love Cuomo. Like, don't get me wrong. But the lesser of two evils here. Cuomo is a little bit more rational. He's not a psychopath. He thinks that, yeah, the Jews deserve to exist. But Mamdani doesn't believe that they deserve to exist. Now let's listen to Mamdani's response.
Mamdani, a chance to respond to that.
I want to be very clear. The occupation is a reference to international law and the violation of it, which Mr. Cuomo has no regard for since he signed up to be Benjamin Netanyahu's legal defense team during the course of this genocide. And I find the comments that Hassan made on 9/11 to be objectionable and reprehensible. And I also think that part of the reason why Democrats are in the situation that we are in, of being a permanent minority in this country, is we are looking only to speak to journalists.
Why did they never give me the whole clip?
More than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had, the candidate in the Democratic primary for.
So Mamdani goes after him again on the Muslim issue, that Cuomo has never visited a mosque. I don't care about that. But maybe somebody who goes to a mosque cares about that. Let's just listen to this whole clip.
Candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except, that is totally false. I worked with the Muslim community for
Sliwa, I love him trying to jump in, man. I love you, dude.
many years.
Name a single mosque you went to when you were the governor. Can you name a single mosque you went to in 10 years?
Before you were ever here. They were
before I was here.
Before you were even in state government. I worked with the Muslim community. Yeah. Imams presided over State of the States. We worked in religious working groups.
Candidate in the Democrat.
He did. That Cuomo definitely worked with the Muslim groups and the Muslim communities who were in fear after 9/11 that they were going to get discriminated against, blah, 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 blah. Here is CNN talking about the debate. Like I said, the political analysts are going to politically analyze.
So, Sir Michael, do you think Cuomo did enough to
No.
close the gap in the
No,
polls?
I think Dave is 100% correct. I think it's going to be Mamdani. He's incredibly talented. As a Republican, I certainly don't agree with many of his positions, but there is something to be said about the arguments that he's making to New Yorkers that is palatable. I am concerned about some of his presentations on economics. I'm concerned about the idea of the role of government as it pertains to sort of level setting for people who have economically struggled. I think there's a different way to go about certain things, but that message is resonating. And if you're a Cuomo, folks in New York know who Cuomo is. And there's some real concern about his past misgivings. There's some concern about some of the things he did as governor. And he didn't, in my opinion, effectively address those things aggressively enough. Mamdani did. He showcased strength. And even if you're a New Yorker and you're curious and maybe you say, I don't disagree with him, you watch that and say, this is a guy who will fight for me. And that moves the needle for voters.
It's, I mean, we're going to see where it goes. We're going to cover it. Here is Mamdani talking about working with President Trump.
I would make it clear to the president that I am willing to not only speak to him, but to work with him if it means delivering on lowering the cost of living for New Yorkers. That's something that he ran his presidential campaign on, and yet all he's been able to deliver thus far has been prosecuting his political enemies and trying to enact the largest deportation program in American history.
Yeah, good. Good. But the cost for New Yorkers is going to go through the roof when you mandate a $30 minimum wage. The cost for New Yorkers is going to go through the roof when you make bus rides free, quote unquote, because that money's got to go from somewhere. So you're going to tax the rich, you say, but the rich own the businesses. So the rich are going to say, oh, I have a 10% increase in expenses. That means I need a 15% increase in revenue to cover the expenses. And if I'm going to jack up the revenue, I might as well make a little bit of money. So I'm going to raise the slice of pizza by 15%. I'm going to raise my furniture that I sell from my store by 15%. I'm going to raise my cheeseburgers, my French fries, my gasoline, my candy bars, my coffee. I'm going to raise everything by more than what my expense is, because I'm going to make my money, because I don't know what the next thing this guy's going to impose on us. So I'm going to be prepared. I might even raise it 20%. That's how prices go up. That's inflation.
I fought Donald Trump. He investigated me repeatedly with the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice Inspector General said that it was actually politically motivated. That does not back me up. When I'm fighting for New York, I am not going to stop. And I'll tell you something else. If the Assemblyman is elected mayor, Donald Trump will take over New York City, and it will be Mayor Trump who runs New York City.
I would make.
That's not true, Andrew. That's not true at all. Here is Wolf Blitzer on CNN.
Cuomo certainly needed a big night to become more competitive with Mamdani, who won the Democratic primary. Do you think he got that support?
He absolutely did not, Wolf. I mean, don't forget, Cuomo lost the Democratic primary on June 24th by roughly 13 percentage points. And so he needed a huge night, and he'll have an opportunity on October 22nd when they debate again. But there was nothing forward-thinking, really, from the Cuomo talking points. There was a lot of drudging up the past of Mamdani, but I think a lot of New Yorkers, because there's so much chaos going on in Washington, D.C., they're really worried about the future of the city. And it's not just public safety. A large percentage of New Yorkers who make from $40,000 to $400,000 are worried about whether or not they can stay in the city. And Cuomo didn't really provide a vision. And especially since he's been a politician, you know, as governor, as AG, he's been in the New York political realm for close to 4 decades. I think there was a lot more expectation that he could lay out a plan, and that just didn't happen last night.
I don't think it happened either. Like these whack jobs in New York City are going to vote. They're going to vote Democrat because they're going to vote blue no matter who. And it doesn't mean anything. Here is Curtis Sliwa on turning office space into housing. They keep talking about, oh, this housing, free, affordable housing, free housing, free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody's got to pay for it.
The other thing that differentiates me from both of my adversaries is that I am opposed to the city of yes, which will destroy the residential neighborhoods. Both of them are for the city of yes. So when you vote for me, whether on the Republican line or the Protect Animals line, turn your ballot over and vote no on all those initiative and referendums. Imagine, they've said, how can you, Curtis, a Republican, work with a Democratic majority in the council? Adrian Adams is in agreement with me. The Democratic city council people are in agreement with me. No to the city of yes, which will take your homes and provide you instead with lithium-ion battery warehouses next to your house, which are like mini Chernobyl. I'm the only candidate who is opposed to the city of yes.
Thank you.
I have a quick follow to that, Mr. Sliwa. How do you bring down costs if you don't build more housing?
Oh, it's very simple to build housing. You just look in New York City. We have so many dense areas where you no longer can use the commercial space. They used to be office space. And you just convert it into residential housing. You don't need to go into the outer boroughs. You don't need to use wetlands and parklands, which they seek to do. If you build a new building, it takes 5 years. If you convert an
All right, Mr. Sliwa, thank you. We want to change the pace here a little bit.
In a year.
Want to change.
There's so much housing and there's so much room in New York City. Like, it's insane. This, I thought, was a pretty interesting question. They're asking him who is a modern day president. Let's listen. Who is your favorite modern day president?
Who is the best modern day U.S. president? Mr. Cuomo?
Modern day? Well, I'm partial. I was Bill Clinton's Housing and Urban Development Secretary. We built affordable housing all across the United States.
So Bill Clinton?
Empowerment zones. I would say Bill Clinton.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
I would say FDR.
Mr. Sliwa?
He's modern day?
Modern.
Well,
Man,
I'd say
it's
FDR also, if that's modern day.
Mr. Sliwa?
A man that ended up being loved by Democrats and Republicans alike, the greatest governor we've ever had in my lifetime, George Pataki. 3 terms, no chaos, no corruption.
I was asking.
And he actually beat
President.
the better
President.
Cuomo, your father.
Mr. Sliwa, modern day U.S.
This
president.
governor and this
Modern day
president.
U.S. president.
Curtis.
Oh, who's the
who you thought the best modern
best president in our lifetime?
Yeah.
Or I would say the best president in our lifetime that I've experienced. I would go back to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
Okay.
Me too. But Curtis, I love him. Man, he's such a good guy. He's done awesome and amazing things for New York City. He's a true altruist. He's a true patriot. He's just old now. He's just old now, you know. Here, let's. This is going to be the last clip of the debate. They're talking about Jews and Mamdani.
Zohran, this is what disturbs me about you. You will be celebrating your birthday this weekend. In 1991, I was in the streets of Crown Heights with the Guardian Angels for 30 days and 30 nights when the first Democratic Socialist mayor of New York City, that's right, David Dinkins, was a proud member of the Democratic Socialists of America, abandoned the Jews for 3 days. They were left to their own means. And we protected them for 30 days and 30 nights. Then your favorite mayor, Bill de Blasio, in 2019, abandoned the Jews again when they were being attacked in Williamsburg and Borough Park and Crown Heights. And I had to bring the Guardian Angels in for 30 days, 30 nights. Jews don't trust that you are going to be there for them when they are victims of anti-Semitic attacks.
And that's true. There's no way. I don't understand how you could be a Jew and live in New York City nowadays. I don't understand how you could be Jewish and be a Democrat. I don't understand how you could be any member of any strict religious church or order and be a Democrat. It doesn't make any sense. The Democratic Party does not align with good, moral, religious people. I'm sorry, they don't, you know. But New York City, this is going to be. Cuomo doesn't really have a shot. He's trying. He was the governor of New York of New York. He is now trying to be the mayor of New York City. So technically, it's a demotion, but it's the biggest city in the world. Now, why is he doing it? I think that's a valid question. Is he really doing it for some altruistic reasons to where he really wants to help and give back and protect New York City from Mamdani? I want to believe that. The thing about Cuomo is I disagree with his politics, but I don't think that he has evil intent. Mamdani, I think, has evil intent. I think he's part of this far left, radical, extremist political philosophy that, I mean, you heard it yourself, that he doesn't really believe that prisons serve a purpose. I think we'll see criminals on the street, turned over, no bail, cashless bail. I think we'll see a serious increase in crime. I think we're going to see a drastic increase in prices. I think we're going to see mass exodus out of New York like we've seen in Chicago and even New York in 10 years. I mean, I'm not the only one that left. Everybody around here is from New York, where I live. I live in the middle of nowhere. So New Yorkers are leaving New York in droves because they don't want to be a part of what's going on. And it's just frankly too expensive. And it's too expensive because of all these freaking social programs that New York keeps turning out and coming to. So we're going to follow this closely. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Go to RyanFSamuels.com/shop. check out the shirts, check out the hats, check out the mugs, check out the cool merchandise. Go to our blog at ryanfsamuels.com/news and get the latest news story. You can subscribe to that. It's free. You will get updates every time we publish an article. Thank you for tuning in. We are live Monday through Friday at 9 p.m., and we will see you tomorrow night. God bless you. God bless our troops. God bless the United States of America, and God, please help New York City. Good night.
Thanks for tuning in to The Ryan Samuels Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.